Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Turin here, and today, guys, I'm here with another Total War Warhammer live BattleCast. In this game, we're going to play the Warriors of Chaos against the Dwarfs. So let's go ahead and start by getting Kolek. On top of that, we're going to get some Chaos Warriors, and we're also going to get some Marauders. So just gives you a lot of armor piercing in the Marauders you can usually put on the flanks. And something to note about Chaos Marauders, guys, is they actually have 35 move speed against the 28 of Chaos Warriors. So for moving around the flanks and outmaneuvering a lot of Dwarf infantry, they can actually do pretty well for themselves. On top of that, we're going to get 2 Forsaken, and these guys, I like to use them to chase down Rangers, get in the back line, and have them fight head-to-head against Slayers, which is very cost effective. So on top of that, we're going to go ahead and get Allure of Metalcaster, and for his abilities, we're going to get Plague of Rust, and I think, do we want to get Transmutational Lead? I think that's actually not bad, but the other ones we can probably just, let's actually just get Searing Doom, because sometimes I've found with Allure of Metal, like, the spells are so cheap that sometimes, like, you just have so much Winds of Magic that you have at your disposal, so it's nice to have a little bit of a range in your abilities there. So, on top of that, we're going to get the Bane of all Dwarf players. We're going to get some Chariots, which are obviously going to be very difficult for my opponent to deal with, and we can cut them out there, and I would really like to get a Manticore. So getting a single Manticore I found to be pretty effective. And any abilities we can cut here with Kolek? Oh man, it's just, I know if I cut one thing, I'll be able to get it. just barely scratching at the surface here. So I could get rid of one group of Forsaken. That'll give us a Manticore, which essentially completely shuts down the Gyrocopter game. And then we could get some Marauder Horsemen. Yeah, they have armor-piercing weapons, so that gives us some good utility there as well. So, all right, so let's go ahead and shove on up the rest of our troops. I think we don't have enough to do that to anyone else. So 2 Chariots, it's pretty good. Chariots are extremely hard to deal with for Dwarves. So if we can get them into the back line, get some of those Forsaken to deal with the Slayers, then I think it's going to be really tough for my opponent. So, and Plague of Rust, you can also, if there's no other great targets, you can overcast Plague of Rust, which gives negative 60 armor. Then you send Forsaken into the infantry that you're targeting with that, and it's very tough for those infantry to kind of thrive and survive, as they say. Great, so let's go ahead and set up our front line. We're going to go ahead and get our Marauders out on the outskirts of the formation. So let's set one group up like so, I think, just like this. Can we get it? And there we go. And let's go wider. Against Dwarves, it's good to spaghetti. It makes it harder for them because you can, you're not going to take as much damage from Goblobbers and things like that, and it usually pays its due. So we'll put the Forsaken out there on the wings. They're just going to be pressuring the flank anyways. Kolek and the caster can kind of sit in the middle. You just have to make sure Kolek doesn't get like focus fired. If he's like able to get targeted down by like the missiles, he is susceptible to that. So you need to be very aware of that. Okay, so the Chariots we're going to put there, and then these Marauders, we can kind of just put them over here. I don't want to do any fancy Vanguard with them, really, but let's go ahead and ready up. Good luck to my opponent. His army's a little bit bigger, but not like big enough to the point where it indicates that he might be bringing miners. So I have a feeling it's going to be mostly Marauders, or not Marauders, excuse me, Longbeards with great weapons and things like that. So cool. And these guys, Marauder Horsemen and single Manticore, that's a lot of pressure on the Gyrocopter game. So if he's decided to like try and do that, which I used to love doing back in the day, it was pretty strong, but again, the meta has shifted quite a bit. People don't really use like Flying Doom squads with Chaos as much. You still see it with Empire from time to time, especially with like Gelt's Goons when you use Balthazar Gelt and like 4 Empire captains and just go crazy. But yeah, in this situation, we'll see what happens. Okay, cool. So my opponent's ready. Let's go ahead and advance our formation. Everything looks pretty rank and file over there. Nothing terribly out of the ordinary. So we're going to run these guys, and we'll also get our horsemen going up there. So let's go ahead and see what he's got going on. So he's got a Runesmith, front line of Ironbreakers, and yeah, I actually like this. Are they the Norgrimlings? I don't think they are, but I think it's worth getting Norgrimlings. Their defensive stats are very good. Some Thunders mixed in with some Quarrelers, which isn't bad. Definitely decent at shooting at Forsaken. He's got his flanks protected. He has 2 cannons, so I like this build. It's definitely going to be a little tough to crack, but honestly, I think once we get in the front line, if we don't take too much shock damage from his cannons and other pieces, like, we should be pretty good, because we have a lot of Chaos Warriors. Lower Metal will be pretty good as well. We can use that Transmutation, and if you guys look, like, that's hitting almost his entire front line. If we like cast it right there, that's like half of his formation, which is going to be pretty heavily neutered. So if he's targeting Kolek, we want to start running Kolek at like a diagonal formation. So if you get him like up and around here, then the cannons like have to rotate, and they don't rotate fast enough to keep up with his speed. We also want to get a Lord of the Storm right on top of those Ironbreakers. That's pretty devastating if you can get that off. So the thing about using Dwarf Warriors in the wings rather than the Longbeards is they don't have charge defense. So we can get in there and hopefully get some pretty mean damage on my opponent. So Kolek's Lord of the Storm should be up in about 25 seconds. And who's his Lord? We should probably take note of that. So he actually has Ungrim. So Ungrim's not bad. And what are these? Is he using an Organ Gun, actually? I think he might be. Oh, that's really cool. I haven't seen it. Organ Guns actually aren't bad against Chaos. I've had some decent success with them there. So, okay, so we're still advancing. We're going to get our main force kind of going like so. Just kind of engaging across the front line. And the Chariots, do we want to slam them into those Dwarf Warriors in the flanks? I think we do, honestly. Because I don't think, yeah. So these guys we want to run out a little bit. These guys we want to run out. We don't want them to take too much free damage. And of course, we do have this Lord of the Storm, which we're going to drop right in the middle of those Ironbreakers. You guys will see it'll do some pretty fat damage. So 1, 2, and 3, and I don't think he's moving. And look at that damage. That's pretty heavy DPS against like a very elite units like that. So we're going to charge into these guys here. We're going to run these around the back, and these guys can come around here as well. And we get a, oh, that was a super lackluster charge. That didn't do anything. Okay, so we're just going to pull out there. We'll get these guys going here, and these can go engage here. here, and I think we want to get them right up the middle. Yeah, they're going to take some serious blasting charge action, but the Manticore, we can also fly over the top, just kind of fly it over the formation. These guys can pressure the side, and these guys can pressure the side as well. Great. So a lot going on here, but guys, I think it's going pretty well for us. Let's go ahead and re-engage here. Let's see if we can push these guys into the Thunders, which is going to be good. So once we do get some action going over here, we're going to pull Kolek in, and this Manticore, I'm tempted to like kind of land it in here just to kind of congest things, but let's actually get it on the side Kolek's rushing in and land on top of those. Okay, great. So I'm tempted to use this bombardment ability right here, but I think we're just going to use the transmutational lead to kind of nerf this front line a little bit, which is going to be good. Let's get these Marauders engaged on these and pull the Forsaken up and around, and great, we get that awesome juicy charge right into that back line and do some heavy work. So now Kolek's coming in, we'll pop his different buffs. And the Chariots, we want to pull those back as well. And the Forsaken, oh dude, it's going to be a really bad day. So what we're going to do is we're going to overcast Plague of Rust on these guys. So they're going to just become super squishy. And these Forsaken are just going to tear them to shreds. So we'll get this Chariot back here. These ones are going to be charging back in. And we do have some great weapons coming around the side as well. So if we can get those on the Slayers. And the Manticore actually like was pretty good like bait there, but look how bad that front line situation went for us there. So let's kind of keep collapsing on the side with whatever troops we have. We'll keep these guys coming back in and just look at how much like hard these Thunders are getting just taken apart. So pull the Chariots over there and actually use them to support the Forsaken. I think that would be pretty good. We can use the piercing bolts like right here. Maybe it'll do some decent work against Slayers. Who knows? And we'll pull him into the middle there. And the Chariots are definitely got the moves like Jagger. You got to watch out for that. And how many kills do we have? Only 4, so that's not that good. So let's go ahead and have them start working on Ungrim. Let's put him in skirmish mode. And we do get our Manticore back, so let's go ahead and have them jump on those. Man, he is doing, just punishing us with these Coilers over here a little bit in the center. So great, so we get that charge, then we're just going to pull them through here. And this other group's been sitting here for too long. A little sloppy on my micro there, but Kolek is doing a good work, kind of shutting down this front line. We're going to go ahead and pop another Lord of the Storm right here. And on that same note, we'll charge in there, just get a little bit of double trouble going on. And yeah, so it looks like a lot of his side formations are collapsing. The balance of power is starting to shift in our favor. And I think he's going to start suffering some serious losses right now because we just had so much stuff. We're able to like really compromise. We're going to use some of those Marauder Horsemasters to kind of chase down those routing units, which is a very good like way of using them in my opinion. So good. So Kolek's just kind of doing his thing. He's fighting against Ironbreakers who, and you know things are looking bad when you see that your Ironbreakers are shaking. That's never a good sign. So let's pop another Transmutation of Lead right here. Just going to kind of debuff the last of his forces. It's hopefully we'll hit Ungrim as well. Just finish these guys off. Let's have them charge into the Ironbreakers as well. And it looks like everything's shattering. Yeah, these guys are wavering over here on the far side. The Runesmith is in pretty bad shape, and Big Papa Kolek is going to have his final showdown with Ungrim, I'm sure. So great. Let's go ahead and keep riding around, getting rid of some of those troops in the back. And I actually like Chaos Knights in this matchup as well. So if you cut a Manticore and you get like in one of your Marauders, you can also get Chaos Knights and have a lot of like with that and Chariots. It's so hard for the Dwarves to deal with, but it's so micro intensive and sometimes it's not like terribly rewarding for how much micro you're putting in. So, okay, so I think everything's pretty much shattering at this point, so we can kind of just start swarming on his leadership right now and just using these forces to chase him down. So let's get Kolek and company, just start going after Ungrim, and we can also use the overcasted Plague of Rust. I think, yeah, we're going to overcast right now, which, I mean, takes him from 120 to 60, so the Manticore is going to do more in DPS. Pretty much everything will, so he's not going to have that natural resistance. So great, let's charge into these guys here. Let's get the Chariots up and around the back and just go finish off these troops. And let's get the Chariots over there as well. And it looks like, yeah, these guys are doing a good job of shattering the last of his troops here. So Arcane Conduit, got to make sure to do that. We're going to get Big Papa Kolek in here with his big beat stick, and hopefully he can start doing some work. Although Ungrim, if I sit and fight, like Ungrim will, do some good damage to him. So make sure to click on him. There we go. So everything's shattered. GG to my opponent, I think. I don't think Ungrim can pull this one out, unfortunately. It's a pretty dense little Chaos Force, but come on, ride them down, ride them down. All right. Yeah, but yeah, guys, I like this build quite a bit. I mean, Chariots, again, are just so awful to deal with for Dwarves, and that's my one kind of criticism of my, like, I like, thematically I love Dwarves in the Tolkien universe, and then also in Warhammer, they're awesome, but playing them, there's super hard counters to them, and the fact that like cycle charging, if they were to like fix something about cycle charging, that would be really nice, because when you have like a really cool Dwarf Lord and, let's say it's a close battle, like they just can't beat like a unit like Kolek. Like if it's a close battle, they can beat him with missiles, but once that point gets compromised, it's very difficult, because they can just like chain charge you, and there's literally no counter to play to that. You just have to take it, and it's very disheartening. But anyways, hopefully they'll address that at some point. But yeah, I mean, the Dwarves can do pretty well with their missile play and everything, but it was having Dwarf Warriors guarding the flanks. I think he needed a little bit more pressure. Maybe another group of Slayers would have been pretty useful as well. But also the Rangers with Great Weapons would have been pretty good, I think, on top of all that. So well played to my opponent. Let's go ahead and take a look at the breakdown and see how things went. But Chariots did well. Manticore. The Manticore is nice. You can land it. It baits the Slayers in. It opens up the flank. So it's kind of like send it in. He'll send all of his defensive units to go after it, and then your Chariots and other things can really get around the side here. But I think the Longbeards with Great Weapons would have been nice as well for that charge defense. But And also, yeah, they have armor piercing, they have the charge defense, just more durable, and I think they would have been a little bit more sustainable, because even my Chaos Warriors in the front, the only Chaos Warrior that lost was one against the Ironbreakers with their blasting charges, but all my other Chaos Warriors were able to win their respective matchups. So the Organ Gun was a bold move, Cotton, a bold strategy, but yeah, I mean, I've had success with it, but it's very map dependent. The terrain needs to be very conducive to it. But anyways, well played to my opponent, Laputin Machine. Look forward to seeing you again on ladder, and hope you guys enjoyed that live Battlecast. Have an excellent night, and take care.